Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about having patience and how to properly manage and organize our fitness goals for the long term. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing and let's talk about it. Alright, what people need to remember is that oftentimes our fitness goals or goals that we set for fitness, particularly people who are relatively new to training or a fitness lifestyle or some sort of competitive endeavor, is that oftentimes they set goals based upon what they see someone else has done, and they set that as a goal, but they get impatient with it and don't realize that sometimes that the person who they want to reach what they've done, they put in 3, 5, maybe 10 years worth of work in there. And what people need to understand, once you get past your initial early novice effect from whatever endeavor you're doing, you no longer see linear progress towards those goals. And sometimes you need to break those things down into more bite-sized manageable pieces. And it could be anything from losing a certain amount of body fat to building a certain amount of muscle to reaching a certain body composition at a body weight. It could be adding 2 inches to your bicep measurement while getting leaner. It could be getting to a 300-pound bench press or a 400-pound squat. Right? There could be a lot of different goals that we have, but what people need to understand is that oftentimes those goals that we set are much longer term than we anticipate. And it's normal for people to want it all at once. You know, it's normal for us to desire to achieve some fairly extreme goal really easily and really quickly, or thinking that we're going to find shortcuts to get there. But the reality is when it comes to fitness endeavors, this stuff is long term. And unfortunately, if you do find a shortcut to get somewhere, it's usually fleeting. Meaning, yeah, there are things you could do to lose weight more quickly, but what do we know from weight loss studies? The faster you lose it, the faster you regain it. In other words, the quicker you lose body fat, the less likely you are to keep off the body fat that you lose. In other words, the slower you take it, the more long-term it is. Furthermore, you start finding that at certain points it becomes advantageous to not even lose all of that body fat in one go. Sometimes you need to micromanage. In other words, the longer you lose body fat, the more you run into appetite issues, or the leaner you get. And sometimes we have to take breaks from losing body fat and sit at the same body weight to either regain muscle you've lost, regain strength you've lost, get your metabolism back up, be regaining muscle. Same thing, building muscle and strength even at the same body weight will increase your metabolic rate. It will make it easier to lose the next 10 pounds than if you do it in one go. So that's one of the other reasons slow weight loss works better on top of it, is that it lets you micromanage it instead of just someone saying, I want to lose 30 pounds or 40 pounds or 50 pounds and just trying to do it in one big go. Sometimes if you break it down into intermediate steps, and even take breaks to work on other things that will facilitate you reaching that goal in the long term, it's going to help you reach that goal more effectively and keep what it is that you've earned. And you know, that same thing can be applied to body composition and strength goals too, can it? When you break these things down into bite-sized chunks, that you need to realize to reach a certain goal, you might actually have to bulk and cut several times. Because sometimes your goal is that far from where you are. Because if you try to stay too lean and gain muscle, what happens? It becomes very, very difficult. It will slow you way down. If you try to gain muscle too quickly and gain fat too quickly, what eventually happens, you end up gaining so much body fat that you lose a lot of muscle when you trim the body fat off. So sometimes reaching that specific goal is going to require you to undulate these things a little bit. And I don't care whether it's a specific body weight and body composition, to gain a certain amount of muscle without having any more fat than you have now, to gain 2 inches on your bicep measurement while being a little bit leaner. Those are things that we look at and say, okay, well, I'm just going to gain muscle and I'll get a little lean. It doesn't work that way. You are probably going to have to change steps along the way. The same thing with getting to your 300-pound bench press or your 400-pound squat. You know what? Very few people are able to start as a beginner, or sometimes even someone with 1 year of training experience. In other words, if you bench 200 right now and you squat 275, you are probably not going to reach those goals in one sweep. In other words, one set training style of linear progression or something, you're probably not going to reach those goals in one go. You're probably going to have to rotate through a couple different types of training. You're going to have to rotate through some different training blocks. And going from those numbers to those others might actually take you longer than a year. You know, some people are gifted enough and on enough programming, or they're willing to eat enough, which also is going to mean more body fat and weight gain. They might do that in a year. They might do that in a year. It's been done. Most people aren't, though. Majority of people are not going to go from a 200 bench to a 300 bench, or a 275 squat to a 400 squat without using drugs inside of a year, or without bulking really hard and gaining a fair amount of body fat. Probably not going to happen. For the majority, it's probably going to take you a longer term goal, and you're probably going to have to run a couple different training systems, or at the very least you're going to run a training system that rotates through different blocks. You're going to have to do certain amounts of volume training to build muscle. You're going to have to do specific training to increase your strength and neuromuscular efficiency on those lifts. Now, you might run a concurrent style training to get there, or you might have to run different blocks of training phases to get there. But it's not going to be always just a straight jump if I'm just going to keep adding weight to the bar till I get there. Probably not going to happen. So people need to learn to micromanage these things and break them off into bite-sized chunks, because there comes a point where you have to go, okay, do I need to be in a muscle gaining phase, a hypertrophy phase in my training? Do I need to be in a muscle maintenance phase and losing body fat? Do I need to do a mini cut? Do I need to do bulks and cuts to reach this goal? How long, you know, and sometimes people are going to find that sometimes their steps are going to be more steps than they think they're going to be. Someone might set a goal like that and think, oh, they're going to do 2 hypertrophy phases of 6 weeks and then 2 6-week blocks of just pure strength training, and they're going to reach those numbers. Probably not. It might take you a lot more phases as you take. It might take you 2 or 3 times as many phases as you think. Same thing to reach a certain body weight and body composition. It might take you, some people might say, oh, I'm going to do that in 2 bulks and 2 cuts, and then it turns out they're way off. It might take them 4 or 5 or 6. Or they might have to do some clean bulks with mini cuts for the next 2 years to reach that goal. Something they said, well, if I just train hard, I'll reach it in 6 months or 8 months. It might take you actually 2 years, which means you're going to do a lot of intermediate steps along the way. And here's the thing. People need to be patient with those goals, and you have to be able to sit back and reevaluate those things, whether it's a weight loss goal or anything else, of realizing that you're starting to stall with what you're doing at a certain point, and you're going to have to change strategies sometimes along the way. You know, sometimes when you're cutting, realizing that you need to take a break from the cut. When you need to take a break from the cut because you realize you're losing muscle, you're losing strength, your appetite's becoming more of an issue. You've got to step back and say, okay, if I really want to reach this goal, I might need to take a break from this for a little while. And it might be sooner than you think it is. You might have planned to just do a 6-month cut, and you get 3 months in and realize, man, this is not going to be sustainable. I've lost a fair amount of body fat. I'm not where I want to be. And I'm also dealing with these other issues. I need to correct this because I'm going to have to keep taking my calories lower and lower. And I'm going to be miserable. So there's times where you have to be realistic and assess these things. And what people need to remember with this is that you need to be patient, because when it comes to fitness, if you want your fitness goals to be lasting, you want them to be long term, you're going to have to change your lifestyle. And you're going to have to learn to enjoy the journey itself. Because if you don't learn to enjoy the journey and the different phases and steps within it, it's not really going to be a lifestyle that you're going to stick out in the long term. And whatever goal that you're striving towards, you're going to be surprised. If you don't enjoy the journey to get there, you're also not going to enjoy staying there. And here's what you're going to find. When you enjoy the journey, you're going to set new goals when you reach that goal. And that's the other thing. Once it becomes a lifestyle, you're going to set new goals. You're going to probably reach that goal one day, assuming it was realistic. And you know what? When you get there, you're probably going to set other goals. And people change their goals all the time in the fitness world. Once it becomes a lifestyle, there are people who get into one aspect of fitness and then realize they have a love for powerlifting or Olympic lifting or CrossFit or strongman or bikini competitions. And so their goals change over time as they learn new things and learn what they enjoy. Your goals are going to change. And that's the thing people need to remember in this also, particularly when you learn to love the journey itself. You're going to find that your goals are going to change and evolve several years from now as you keep this up. With your lifestyle, and your lifestyle will change accordingly. But that's what it comes down to, guys. It's about realistically micromanaging those steps, being patient with them, enjoying the journey, and being realistic with yourself of when you need to change something in your process of getting towards that goal, and break it off into smaller bite-sized chunks that you could actually handle on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.